Hi, Holly Green. I've been called a sunshine goth a couple times by different people. And I believe in fairies. I write kids' books. I've taught children. I'm pretty happy. I'm optimistic. However, I love horror movies. And the question I get is, why do you like horror movies? Before I answer that, I'd like you to comment below why you like horror movies or something practical you've learned from horror movies. Honestly, fear is a very useful emotion. It could be something simple that you've learned, like lock your car, look in the back seat, don't sit with your back to an open door, don't run upstairs if you're being chased, right? Okay, so I want you to comment, but I'm also going to tell you my little story of what happened with horror movies and why I like them and why I find them useful. So I was 10. I was living with my mother and some other people in Ohio in a household. None of us were really related. And we all went to see Halloween that summer, the night he came home. The OG John Carpenter classic, right? Michael Myers, Jamie Lee Curtis as the 17-year-old resourceful Laurie Strode, who fought back. Who fought back? She didn't just lay there and scream and, oh no, she fought back. So that is one thing I've learned. And it came in handy for me the very next day. I also learned what not to do, which is run upstairs and place yourself in a flimsy closet, because that's exactly what I did. So in this household, we had a man renting our downstairs basement, and he was this diminutive Irishman, actually default my safe person in that household. He never saw me as anything other than a child. He did try to give me good advice and give guidance, and was sort of a weird, friend, like a nice person to have around, because at that time, I really wasn't getting that from anywhere else. So we all went to see it, including this guy, including Jackie. And he thought it would be hilarious the next day to chase me with a butcher knife. Because, if you're an adult in the 70s, chasing a fat autistic kid with a butcher knife is hilarious. And at first, I thought his intentions were funny because I was laughing. And then I ran upstairs and I stuck myself in my mom's flimsy closet with the doors that are just louver doors that you can see through. And yeah, they're not made of much that would protect you. And the mood changed when he actually ran up after me and got to those doors and was pushing the knife through the slats in the doors. I was all bundled up with my knees to my chest and hugging myself, and I started screaming. And up until this point, I'd never had any misgivings about Jackie. He was pretty cool. I mean, this is a guy who's about 5'6", dressed up like a leprechaun, shinnied up the courthouse flagpole in Cleveland and stole the flag from me, the Irish flag. It was so cool. It had a bullet hole in it. It was like the coolest thing I ever got. So my friend got psycho. My friend who lived in my basement went complete psycho. I was screaming my guts out. My mother was not home. Nobody was home, just me and Jackie. So he's stabbing the knife through the closet doors. I'm terrified. He nicks my knee. I still have a scar on my left knee from this. And as he pulls the blade out of the door, he realized that he actually got me. And he stopped and he immediately opened the door and goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." He was still playing. And I had nothing to prepare me for that moment at that point. I had read, the first novel I ever read, I read when I was 9 years old. It was Amityville Horror. Then I read Carrie. And then we went and saw this movie. So I had experienced horror on the page and on film, but not in my life yet. So Jackie immediately apologized to me. He was afraid I was going to go tell my mother and she would kick him out and he would have nowhere to live. And I said, I won't tell. But I went in my room and I locked the door and I didn't speak to Jackie for about a week because my trust was broken. But the other lesson that served me from this is that within that week, he told my mother what he did. She brushed it off. She's like, oh, no big deal. I didn't brush it off. And I came home the next day from school, about a week later, and there was a copper-colored 3-speed bike locked to the porch. And I thought, well, whose bike is that? Well, he said, I didn't know how to apologize to you. I didn't know how to show you that I was so sorry. So I got you a bike. And I hadn't had a bike for like months. I'd been walking to the convenience store. I was a neglected kid. So I would take my $20 allowance that my grandparents mailed me from Illinois every week and go get myself food. And I was walking. My bike had broken and we were not able to replace it or repair it. And I said, what's the bike about? He goes, it's about me saying I'm sorry, you know. But the thing is, he backed that sorry up with a change in behavior. He never again did anything like that. In fact, he was extra protective because of my mother's response of not thinking it was a big deal. So your boarder downstairs chases your child, bad autistic child with, you know, bad eyesight and buck teeth. She was about ready to sign off rights on me. So it was hilarious to her. And for both of us, for Jackie and I, it was hilarious as well at first. But it's the first time in my life I experienced an apology backed up by a change in behavior. And I wasn't there much longer. I got shuffled off to different places. My mom was trying to sever our relationship, and I had lived with different people after that. But while I was there, for the rest of the time I was there, and he was living in our basement, he was kind. He would bring me little things like little shiny 50-cent bracelets, like a crow almost. And he kept apologizing, and I said, you don't have to apologize. I was 10 years old. And it was the first time someone had shown me that sorry isn't sorry until there's a change in the behavior. And doing what I do for a living, seeing that, helping kids recognize bullying, recognize apology when it's true, when it's honest, call it out when you need to, and protect yourself. That life lesson meant a lot because I had very few adults that I could trust. I had very few good adults. And he had a moment where he messed up, but he changed and he meant it. And it showed me that people aren't all what they seem. And someone who just repeatedly says sorry to you and doesn't change their behavior, that doesn't really mean anything. So I have fond memories of my relationship with Jackie, my friendship with him. And that came about because we went to see this movie. It made a friendship stronger because he didn't really know me till then. And I really didn't know him, what kind of person he was. He was just a guy that lived in our basement. Anyway, that's why I like horror movies, because you can always learn something practical and sometimes you can learn a life lesson. So let me know what you've learned. Bye.